not telling my friends that I am technically their landlord. Now they're upset after finding out, but I didn't think it mattered. So I 18F am very lucky in that I have two very hardworking parents that are successful and love me. We aren't mega wealthy, but we are very comfortable as my parents are extremely smart financially. We own multiple houses as part of our real estate portfolio that we rent out for extra income. I recently started college, and as a present for working hard and getting into my dream school, my parents gifted me one of our houses that is near my college. I was going to inherit them all anyway, but I really appreciated their gesture. Where I live, real estate law is a little tricky and we would have to pay significant taxes to officially transfer the house to me, so we decided to have my parents own it legally for now. The house is pretty big with 4 floors, including a fully furnished basement and a roomy attic end. Since it is near my school, I decided to look for roommates so I could start earning money early. So far, I have 2 roommates, who we'll call Sasha 18F and Bia 19F, who also go to my school. We have been living together for a couple months now. They moved in around August, and we are all pretty good friends and very compatible roommates. This is where I might be the a-hole. I didn't want to tell them that I own the house as I thought it might create a weird dynamic between us, and I didn't want them to view me any differently. We split the bills and rent, with me technically paying nothing. Since my father legally owns the house, and we have different surnames, I took my mother's last name. They have no idea I own the house, or that my dad just sends the money back to me. Sasha recently found the money my dad sent back while I was at class and told Bia, and they cornered me about it a few days ago. I told them everything, and they're mad at me for hiding this from them, and think I'm not only in the wrong for keeping it a secret, but for making them pay rent in the first place. The house's mortgage has already been paid off, so the rent goes entirely into my pocket. I responded by saying that they shouldn't have gone through my mail in the first place, and that it was illegal, which I'll admit was kind of a low blow. We weren't friends when they moved in, and the whole point of me wanting roommates was so that I could earn extra cash, so I don't see why I should let them reside for free.
Next story.
Walking out of dinner after my boyfriend humiliated me in front of his family over my cooking. Now he's upset, but I felt disrespected and couldn't stay any longer. I 26F been with my boyfriend 28M for about a year now. We get along well most of the time, but something happened last weekend that's really been bothering me. We went over to his parents' house for dinner, and ever since, things have been awkward. A bit of backstory: I love cooking. I'm not a professional by any means, but it's something I'm passionate about and take pride in. My boyfriend knows this, but he's constantly comparing my cooking to his mom's, especially when it comes to her lasagna. I've heard about this lasagna more times than I can count. So before we leave for his parents' house, he makes this offhand comment: "Maybe you'll finally learn how to make lasagna properly tonight. Yours could definitely use some improvement." I tried to laugh it off, but honestly, it hurt my feelings. Still, I brushed it aside because I didn't want to start anything before dinner. We get to his parents' place, and as expected, his mom's lasagna is the star of the meal. Everyone is raving about it, and of course, my boyfriend jumps in to say, "Oh man, this is real lasagna." OP tried making it once, but let's just say there's a reason we're all here eating my mom's tonight. Everyone laughed. I felt embarrassed, but kept smiling to avoid making things awkward. Then he kept going, saying that I burned the sauce. I didn't, and that maybe I should just leave lasagna to the experts. His family was cracking up, and I sat there, trying not to lose it. It wasn't just a joke to me, it felt like he was putting me down, especially in front of his family, who I'm still trying to make a good impression with. I couldn't handle it anymore, so I excused myself from the table and went to sit in the car. A few minutes later, my boyfriend comes out looking confused and asks why I left. I told him how hurt I was by his comments, and instead of apologizing, he said I was overreacting, and that it was just a joke. He said I need to stop being so sensitive and learn to take a joke, especially around his family. I was upset and told him that if he thought embarrassing me in front of his family was funny, maybe he should just date his mom's cooking instead. Now that didn't go over well. He got angry and accused me of ruining the night. Since then, we've barely spoken, and he's waiting for me to apologize, but I feel like he should be the one apologizing. So now I'm wondering, did I take it too far? Was I being overly sensitive, or was I right to walk out after being embarrassed like that?
Next story.
Not wanting to move my wedding date even though my sister is pregnant and thinks it will be too close to her due date. Now my family is pressuring me, but I think it's unfair to change everything. So I'm in a bit of a weird situation. My fiancé and I aren't the most traditional and wanted to have our wedding as more of a family vacation with the bonus of a wedding. My parents have a beautiful lakefront house that we decided to have our wedding at. When we were initially planning our wedding and figuring out dates, I wanted to have it on June 26th. The 26th was important to us because that's the day my fiancé and I first met. But when speaking it over to my family, my sister said no because she already had a vacation on that date. I was sad, but it wasn't the end of the world, so we decided on June 4th to June 9th. Everything was working out perfectly. I let both of our families know to put our wedding down for those dates and started wedding planning. It was all perfect until last night. I got a FaceTime from my dad who showed me the ultrasound, and I was super excited. All of the congratulations, jumping around because I'm going to be an auntie. I'm so excited for them and for my future niece or nephew. But it all came crashing down when I asked my sister when she is due in. She said May 1st, so we're going to have to talk about your wedding. I assumed she just meant that she wasn't going to be able to be in attendance. So I told them that it's okay, we can just FaceTime them in, and her jaw dropped. Then my mom said we can just push it back to September. I knew my emotions would get the best of me, so I said we can talk about it later. So we went back to congratulations and thinking of baby names. After the call, I can't lie, I had a bit of a breakdown. I already moved my dates once to accommodate my sister, which was fine. But after 7 months of planning our wedding around this date and having my fiance's family plan around it, I don't want to change it again. Unfortunately, I know my family and they will push for me to move it and will disrespect my decision not to. I know traveling with a newborn baby is going to be hard, which is why I offer up FaceTiming her in, but it seems like that's offensive to them to not want my sister to be present at the wedding. I feel so insanely guilty about being upset over having to change my wedding dates because my sister is pregnant. She's bringing a beautiful new family member into our lives, but I'm still a bit heartbroken that if I don't change the wedding date that I will be seen as inconsiderate and a dollar hole in my family. So Ada for not wanting to push back my wedding because my sister is pregnant.
Next story.
Telling my husband he completely ruined the birth of our child after he ignored our plan and brought his mom into the delivery room without asking me. Now he thinks I'm overreacting? But I feel deeply hurt. Hi everyone. Our daughter is now 8 weeks old, so obviously this whole argument has gone on a very, very long time. We both have been holding grudges and neither of us think that we are wrong. My husband does not know I am posting this, so I am going to keep it as anonymous as possible. So when I got pregnant with my daughter, my husband started in immediately telling me that I should have a home birth. I really do not know why he was so adamant on it, but he was. At first, I brushed him off and told him I would think about it because I was only 6 weeks pregnant, and the birth seemed so far off. Of course, it came quickly, and my husband would literally speak over me at doctor's appointments when my doctor would ask if I had a birth plan. This caused a few arguments between us in those 39 weeks of pregnancy, but I never really changed my mind. Eventually, my husband's mother sat down and talked to me, and she told me all of the reasons why they did not want me to go to a hospital for the birth. I expressed my concerns about, safety of the baby and myself, but just like my husband, she brushed me off. I ended up telling my husband that I would take myself to the hospital when it was time, and that I did not want a home birth. He acted as if he didn't hear me. We met with a doula who was also very pushy. I felt overwhelmed and not supported at all. I was 36 weeks at that point. So when I went into labor, I was 39 weeks, and I absolutely begged my husband to take me to the hospital where my doctor is. He wouldn't. He spoke to me condescendingly and called the doula instead. I was in labor for about 3 days, active labor for around the last 22 hours. I cried the whole time. I just felt something was wrong. I was scared, and oftentimes they left me alone. The doula told me that if active pushing in labor reached 24 hours, I had to go into the hospital. I remember thinking that I could not decide which was worse, staying in labor for another 2 hours or having my baby right there. When she was finally out, I don't even remember wanting to hold her. I just remember crying out of relief. Obviously, I am okay now, but I did not have a good experience. On my first appointment after birth with my doctor, she was very shocked I had the baby. She was concerned. I was so upset. I told my husband that he absolutely ruined it for me. I truly never want to go through that again. I hear mothers say that they forget all the pain the second they have the baby. But I didn't. I love my daughter so much, but it was horrible, and it was entirely his fault. So I told him that several times. He rolls his eyes every time and tells me how mothers are strong and how I am not trying to be strong. I told him that if we ever have another baby, which he wants, that I will never do a home birth ever again. His response is, "We'll see." I cannot possibly be TA here, can I? Everyone around me is acting like this is so normal, but it's not. Is it?